It is always all about the money. Kevin Trudeau here. Thanks for joining me. This is, this amazes me. What amazes me is that most people don't know this. That's what really amazes me. People always say, Kevin, do you give money to charity? And I say, I don't give money to charities. There's a difference. Charities and organizations that raise money are mostly, with rare exception, complete scams. If you give money to the American Heart Association, you're an idiot. You're not an idiot, you're just misinformed. If you give money to the American Diabetic Association, you're foolish. You should never give money to the American Cancer Society. It's foolish. Why? When you give money to any of these medical associations, two things occur. The money you give, number one, lines the pockets of the executives who run those organizations. They make massive salaries. With their salaries and benefits and perks, some of these people are making over $1 million a year. So the money you're giving is basically making the executives of those charities rich. That's number one. And number two, the money you're giving is being used to put on more fundraisers so they can raise more money. It's not being used for any purpose like trying to cure cancer, diabetes, or asthma, or heart disease. And thirdly, if any of that money is used to attack the cancer or diabetes or whatever, guess who gets the money? The drug companies. Folks, when you give money to the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association, the American Diabetic Association, and the American Asthma Foundation, the money is going to the executives. It's being used to put on lavish parties and raise money. And a little bit that's used for the disease is going directly to the drug companies for research on patentable drugs so that the drug companies can make billions in profits. Does this make sense? People don't understand that. Look at this, the American Cancer Society. How many trillions of dollars has been spent on the war of cancer since Nixon said we're going to put on a war of cancer, a war on cancer? We have the highest cancer rates in the world. Cancer continues to go up every year. We have more people getting cancer today than ever before, and we have more people dying today of cancer than ever before. As a matter of fact, you have a higher chance of dying of cancer today than you did in 1950. So all that money that you've invested and gave to these organizations is a colossal waste of money. It's doing nothing but lining the pockets of the executives and making the drug companies rich. The drug companies get the money. The drug companies know, and I've been there. They say this is the biggest scam in the world, how stupid people are. They give money to the American Cancer Society, the American Heart Association. They think they're donating, and they're giving the money directly to the drug companies. Now, but this is not just with those type of organizations. It's with virtually all these charities. Charities are set up as a fraud. I mean, seriously. They're set up as a way for executives to make money. Here's it. 9/11, a foundation was set up dedicated to building and maintaining the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. Okay? So a foundation is set up dedicated to building and maintaining the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. The 10 highest paid executives of that foundation make over almost $3 million a year in total salaries. They're making $3 million a year, and it's all from people's donations. People are donating, and the president of this place makes $371,000 a year. The director makes $351,000 a year. It's a scam, folks. It's a scam. You're donating money to this museum and foundation that's supposed to be good for maintaining the memorial of 9/11. And you think you're doing a good thing. You're a fool. You donate to these foundations. You're a fool. The executives make millions. They stay in Four Seasons hotel suites at $3,000 a night. They're eating caviar and lobster and drinking champagne with your money. They're living like King Farouk. Most of these foundations, it's always the same. I'm going to put this whole article up on the website at ktradionetwork.com so you can just see. But just remember, it's always all about the money. Now, people say, where do you give your money to? Well, let me tell you what I do. I've never publicized this because I don't want to publicize my good works. Now, my PR people would say, you have to do that. Well, I think it's disingenuous. But let me just give you an example. What a lot of people don't know, for years, living in Chicago, I live downtown Chicago in a place called Lincoln Park. I live in a building right in front of the Lincoln Park Zoo. And right behind the building, there was a shelter for homeless people that were struggling. So people who didn't have a home, that were struggling financially, maybe had some alcohol or drug problems and trying to get back on their feet. They could at no cost go to this shelter, and they had a room with a bed, and the shelter also provided food. And it was really right behind my apartment building. And the people were just trying to get back on their feet. Some of them were struggling or uneducated or had some drug problems or went through bankruptcies or divorces and different things. And they were really, really struggling. They didn't have families, etc. And so one of the things that I always did was I went and bought, because in Chicago the winter was very cold, I would go and I would buy 50 or 100 warm coats. I'd buy warm hats, wool hats, and gloves and scarves. And I would get that stuff, and I'd have one of my staff members bring it over and drop it off and say, this is for you. They would say, who's donating this? We want to give a tax-deductible receipt. And my guy would say, no. He wants to do it anonymously. He just wants the people to get it better. What a lot of people never knew, for years, in the winter in Chicago, I would hop in my car and I would fill the back seat and the trunk with coats, scarves, and hats. And I would drive around the city of Chicago looking for homeless people that were sleeping on the street in the cold. And I had blankets, gloves, scarves, hats, and coats. I also had sweaters one year. And I would pass these out myself. I didn't want any fanfare, and I'm not saying this on the radio to pat myself on the back. But why would I give money to the American Cancer Society or this 9/11 Foundation when the executives are putting all the money in their pocket, or the money's going directly to the drug companies? Do you understand? If I'm going to donate some money, I'm giving it to people that are right in front of my face. I don't need to give money to the homeless in Somalia. There's plenty of homeless right here in Chicago. Every city in America, there's people that are struggling. And if you want to help somebody, if you want to do something, think about the things that you can do directly. Forget the middleman, forget the foundation, forget the charities. Go get some food. And I'm not talking bags of Doritos. Get some real food. Get some real food. Maybe some organic food bars. Load up your cart, pass them out to people that are hungry. If you really want to do something good, do it right in your own neighborhood. Do it right in your own neighborhood. You can go down to your local church or synagogue or mosque and ask, who do you know that's struggling? Maybe somebody's heat's going to get cut off because they don't have any money. And you can pay the heat bill so they can have some heat. Or maybe you can anonymously have some food dropped off at the person's house that's struggling. If you really want to be helpful, you see, most people talk a good game. And they give money to these charities thinking, oh, that's going to make it all good. It's not the right thing to do. Now, a lot of people disagree and say, well, I know a charity that's a really good charity, and I'm sure there are a lot of good charities out there where the directors take a reasonable salary for their work and effort and time, and most of the donations actually go and do some benefit. I'm sure there's a lot out there. But the point that I'm trying to make is, most of them, it's always all about the money.